I'm gonna heal no matter what. You know, I made a firm decision at that time that I will put in all effort that it takes to be healthy. So I read the book, and the more I read about people that were able to heal themselves, the more I started believing, all right, and this is possible for me as well. And I started meditating daily and visualizing my healing as well.
I like how he merges some of the science with the mindset and the meditations, etc. And it's very inspiring, and you are someone that can now go back and be a testament that it is true.
So we have to first make you believe that it's possible, and then everything else will work. Also raise your vibration, because the better you feel, the quicker you heal. So focus on things that provide you joy. And when I started pouring a lot of love into myself, filling up my own cup, I started attracting different type of people into my life that were also pouring love into me.
Welcome everyone to The Connection. I'm here with Nathalie Czajka. I'm gonna read you what she's all about. She's a holistic health and mindset coach, spiritual healer, transformational guide. After naturally healing a brain tumor in less than 2 months, through deep visualization, emotional healing, holistic detoxification, she now helps high achievers and soul-driven individuals, resonates deeply to me, reclaim their health, their vitality, and create their dream life. Through mindset reprogramming, emotional release, energy work, empowers others to transform both inside and out. Welcome, Nathalie. Happy to have you here. I'm excited because what you're doing is you're showing people what is possible. And many people who have cancer, it's a terminal. They view it as a terminal diagnosis. And what I'm hoping you're here to tell us is it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly.
So please tell us, maybe start with your story. What is your story, and how did you do this?
Approximately 5-6 years ago, I was a very different woman. I was actually a walking stress ball. I was pushing hard, being a lot in my masculine energy, still working in a corporate job. And yeah, everything made me feel like really out of the alignment. I was disconnected from my body, overwhelmed. And yeah, this kind of disconnection led to me having an epileptic seizure at some point. Because the funny thing is, I was still eating healthy already, always pushing to go to the gym, but I left out the part that we have to have stable stress levels or no stress levels if possible. So yeah, I was a stress ball. Yeah, so years ago, I was a completely different woman. I was very stressed, working hard, sometimes even 12 hours a day and pushing through. And back then my mindset was like, all right, the more I work, the quicker I will achieve my goals. So I was willing to put in the work, and all the symptoms that I received previously, like having a hard time to sleep, for example, digestive issues, skin rashes, all of that I ignored. And at some point my body was like, girl, you're living like pretty much out of alignment. And it gave me a massive signal that I could no longer ignore. And I received, first I had an epileptic seizure. I got unconscious in the kitchen of my parents. And then the ambulance was already there when I woke up, and I was like, whoa, what did just happen? And they told me, yeah, you have to go to the hospital now. And in the hospital, I got the brain tumor diagnosis. So, and that was like a shocking turn of events, because I wanted to still push harder and work towards my goals. And now a diagnosis was stopping me to do that. And the doctor told me this diagnosis, and I was like, okay, this cannot be my reality. At that time, I was 24 years old, and I was like, this is not my reality. I am gonna heal no matter what. You know, I made a firm decision at that time that I will put in all effort that it takes to be healthy. And yeah, this firm decision opened up a lot spiritually and energetically for me, because it was, now I know, it was like a filter that I put on. I said I would heal, and then I started seeing mentors, books, meditations that allowed me to really step on that self-healing path. And I got this insight or this download saying like, you have to read the book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, You're the Placebo. And for everyone struggling with their health or healing, I can highly recommend to read this. And yeah, I was in a hospital room with 3 other women that got similar diagnosis. And I was like, oh, okay, my parents got me the book, and I went to the hospital park and I just read the book. I didn't want to be in the energy of those women because they reacted completely differently. I felt the energy was heavy. They associated themselves with that disease, and it was just low vibration. And I knew if I stay longer in that field, I will not be able to heal. And hospitals are anyway not a good place for healing. Yeah, so I read the book, and the more I read about people that were able to heal themselves, the more I started believing, all right, and this is possible for me as well. And I started meditating daily and visualizing my healing as well. I started visualizing how I would leave the hospital, how I received the news from the doctor that the recent brain scans show no sign of the tumor anymore, and how I was leaving the hospital and my mom was standing there. And that was the visualization I played over and over again every day. And I visualized how I threw the pills away, the antileptic ones, and told my mom, like with a lot of gratitude, that there's nothing in the new scans anymore. Yeah, so my mom was really happy in that visualization, and those visualizations were so real for me that I oftentimes started crying out of gratitude, out of joy. And that's also what I recommend everyone, like to include the loved ones into the visualization. Because when we feel the joy of our loved ones, then it's easier to visualize it happening.
Beautiful. I hear many things in that, Nathalie. One of them is go check out Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. I've actually been in his workshops, and I like how he merges some of the science with the mindset in the meditations, etc. And it's very inspiring. And you are someone that can now go back and be a testament that it is true. And I also hear that a big part of it is for you, and I'm guessing this is part of why you believe you were already healed, is visualizing and knowing it and believing it. Is that the first step to healing something like a brain tumor?
Absolutely, because I see it now with the clients that I work with, because now I help people in their healing journey. And most of the times we have to really remove many limiting beliefs. Some people are not even allowing themselves to heal. They think it's impossible, but your body, your cells are always listening. So we have to first make you believe that it's possible, and then everything else will work.
Yeah, what a powerful tool. You know, I read a lot of the books on the law of attraction, the power of manifestation, and the common denominator here is there's not just the part of believing, but also the feeling, the emotional vibration and the emotional resonance that comes, and like being in that joy. And the other thing I heard you speak about is the gratitude. And gratitude is a very high vibration. If we were to look at all the emotions on a scale, we could kind of put them in order, what some people call like vibrational frequency. But we can think of them as, you know, a way to look at something like shame is extremely low and anger is actually higher vibration than that. But gratitude is very high, and then joy is one of the highest, right? So, and it talks a lot about how we can't move up that vibrational scale. We can't make big jumps. So one of the tricks is to sort of find the next feeling that you're able to get to that's higher than the one before. And once you get that one, you can sort of move to the next one, and you can jump a few of them, but it's hard to go from a very low vibrational frequency or emotion to a very high one. So, you know, when you're getting a diagnosis of brain tumor, I would imagine that the vibrational frequency or the emotion has to be a fairly low one and a fairly difficult one.
Yeah, there are many points to what you just said, because I do think we can always feel gratitude when we tune into what we already have, be it like the fridge that is full, a family that might be in the hospital with me waiting for the results. So we can switch into gratitude very, maybe not effortlessly, but there are ways to feel grateful for what you have already by placing your attention onto that. And actually, when I think back to that time, I wasn't fearful at that time. It was like, okay, this will not be my reality. I will focus all my energy and attention onto healing. Of course, it's like an unknown where I'm about to embark, but I knew already before that, because I was on that spiritual path already, where I place my energy and attention, more of it will grow. So I had option A, to focus on health and healing, or option B, to focus on sickness, maybe Google, how long do I have to live? And what's the point? I would just feel bad in the process. So I was very firm to only allow option A to be entertained. And visualization helped me to remember, or all the time, visualization helped me to see that future, to feel it already. And I did it every morning once I woke up, when my mind was still in those, which waves are those? Theta?
Yes, well, it depends, but yes.
So, and then I started motivated into my day. And in the evening, right before I went to bed, I visualized as well. So my subconscious was working with that information for 8 hours.
So you are doing visualizations in the morning when you woke up, where you are still in an alpha or theta brainwave state, and then when you are going to bed. And there's are you familiar with Jose Silva mind control method? Have you heard this? Similar, I think that he was actually way before Joe Dispenza. I think Joe Dispenza took some of this, but it's very similar. Before you go to bed, you get yourself into this, I believe it's an alpha brainwave state, could be theta, don't quote me on that. And then you start visualizing the things as pictures, and you move them from right to left. And there's a reason for that. And then by doing this, you're asking your mind, and in your sleep, to basically start creating this. And then what's interesting is you don't have to know how to get to point A to point B. The sort of your mind and the universe starts to do that for you, which is an interesting concept, because many of us, myself included, have always been in the doer state. We start in the victim state, and like things happen to us, to the doer state. We make things happen, and then we kind of move on from that in the conductor, which is et cetera, into the awakened state. But I think that doer state, we feel we have to work so hard to make things happen, which isn't always true, or it doesn't need to be true. We can start to allow, and the way that we allow is like we were talking about. We visualize what it is that we want, and we come into the feeling of what it is that we want. And this is what you were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always say you can't force yourself into healing, or you can't push yourself into that, because that was my mentality back then. I used to force myself into the gym. I used to force myself to eat healthy, completely disconnected of what my body needed at the time, be it like rest or not. And now I know that we need to allow space to rest, to allow the things to come to us. And that's a big part in visualizing too, is when visualizing, you made the order to the universe or to God, and then having the trust that the parcel that you sent out will arrive, or the order that you've made, that it will arrive to you. That's the same like when ordering shoes. You have to trust it, otherwise it will create confusion if you keep calling, if you email them. So trust is a very important thing, having certainty that this is working for you.
I love that. It's the idea is, I've often heard, if you don't expect it, you are blocking it. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about that. Is that true? Because, there's a lot of teachings around unattachment to outcomes, right? And trying not to force things, etc. But this concept of, if we don't believe something will happen, then we're blocking it from happening. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's true?
Yes, to one degree, yes, definitely. You have to believe that, for example, healing is possible. And when I visualized at that time, I knew it's possible for me. I visualized daily, and through this daily visualization, I already felt healed. I already felt joyful. I already felt grateful. And those were the vibrations that we want to feel in order to achieve something. And by us feeling them already today, we no longer need the thing actually that we manifest, and through that we can practice non-attachment, or letting go of that, because we have those emotions already.
But what is the difference between that expectation and that non-attachment? This is a question I haven't quite, I haven't figured out how to merge those two together. This expectation that the job, the partner is going to arrive and the universe is just delivering that in the perfect timing, right? And that's the expectation that's going to happen. And then also that's the calling in, the manifestation side. And then the expectation is this is going to happen. But the unattachment, if we're so attached to it, this happening, then sometimes we get into a place where we start getting disappointed or impatient. So how do we balance those two together, this expectation and manifestation with an unattachment?
Mm-hmm. I think whatever it is that you're desiring, you have to become it. You have to become it already now. And when you become it already now, you no longer need it. And you're vibrating so high on those positive emotions, you feel so much fullness from the inside that you're like, I'm good either way. I just feel epic already. And that was literally with all manifestations where I was just attracting them just by raising my own vibration. Because when we raise our own vibration in the now, everything that is on alignment, all our goals will just come to us. And constantly so many cool things are coming like with ease to me, not because I expect them. I know they're just on my vibration, and it's like, how to say, even unavoidable that they're coming.
I was at an event with, and Richard Solani said, the universe doesn't give us what we ask for. The universe gives us who we are. And I thought that was an interesting statement, the idea of who are we? Like, how are we showing up? And that's what actually the universe gives us, is who we are, who we want to become. We have to become that person. And if you're constantly in this victim, that's what the universe is going to give you, right? Just constant problems and blockages. When you are in that trust and joy, you're attracting trust and joy and love and ease. And, so I definitely agree with what you're saying. So the most important question is, how do you get there? What advice would you give people to get into that high vibration?
It's definitely mindset reprogramming, because our natural state is like programmed on survival. We always see negative things over positive things, but there are ways to reprogram your subconscious mind. Specifically, first of all, by becoming aware, how do we think day in, day out? How do we feel day in, day out? Because usually a feeling creates a certain response to how we think. Let's say we feel fear. The next thought that is coming up, oh my God, I'm going to die. Let's say after getting a diagnosis. Oftentimes when I work with people, we really become aware how the process is and how they behave afterwards. And when they become aware of that, they're like, oh, that's how it always works. And we can break the pattern by saying then out loud, change. When you notice the fear creeping up, saying change, and switching with an affirmation, for example, where you want to go. It's not an easy process, but it's a very rewarding one. Because after a while, you will sense that you start thinking differently and reacting differently. So yeah, mindset reprogramming, repetition through affirmation, mirror work, looking into your eyes, into your soul, and repeating the new identity, feeling the emotions. And visualization is a fantastic tool, because you're through breath that you do beforehand and then visualizing your ideal self, you start creating neural different pathways in your brain. And the cool thing is, with a visualization, the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and a real life experience. And we can use it to our advantage because the same chemical responses in the body are being activated as if it's a real life experience.
Nathalie, what are the steps to someone's healing? How can we break it down?
Yeah, there are many steps, but the most crucial ones I would say is that first, believe that it's possible. I work with many clients that don't even have to believe that it's possible, and that's already the first major problem. So believe it. Also, raise your vibration, because the better you feel, the quicker you heal. So focus on things that provide you joy. There are many cases of people that were really sick, and when they started doing the things that they brought them joy, even watching funny movies, they felt so good that their body started healing. And disease cannot exist on a very high vibration. Also, use tools that help you to focus on where you want to go. I used visualization. I rehearsed every day in the morning, in the evening, where I wanted to go. I immersed myself in that visualization, and this is what helped me to really create the chemical responses in my body. Also affirmations, mirror work, there are many tools that you can use. And the last one would be that if doubts are coming up for you, maybe in the process, that you look at the limiting beliefs and that you replace them for positive ones. Because remember, what you believe to be true will be your reality. So we want to only entertain positive beliefs.
Great. So the steps for someone's healing is 1, believe it's possible. 2, raise your vibrations, get into, which just means high emotional states. 3, use the tools such as visualizations, affirmations, etc. And then 4 is when you have doubts about any of those, find a way to replace those limiting beliefs. That's a great framework. I do a lot of work with these. I actually have an AI tool where people can create their affirmations. They talk, and it's a free tool on theconnectionmap.com. And you put in all your things, and it creates an affirmation for you to say every single day, and it makes an acronym so you can remember it easily. And I have been doing this for close to 10 years now, I think. And it is a powerful tool because, for example, if I say, I am joyous, I will try to find the joyous feeling. And if I can, I go down a few levels and then try to bring it back up. And I'll keep saying that affirmation. I am joyous, I am healthy, and I imagine my body healthy. And then, I have a lot of them that I can share, but the idea is I really think this is a major tool for me in this. I don't do as many visualizations for me. I think I'm a little less visual, but the audio and the meditation seems to work really, really well for me. So amazing steps. What are the processes that you use to change limiting beliefs? I found a couple that I have found to be really useful, but I'm always curious on a practical level. Limiting belief is, I have rheumatoid arthritis and I'm stuck with this for the rest of my life. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune, a guttate psoriasis. They told me it can never be healed. No one's ever healed it before, ever. And I was at the head of Mount Sinai in New York City with the head of infectious diseases. And they're like, this is what you're taking this drug. I want to know more, Nathalie, about this holistic approach that you have to healing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, since being on my own healing journey, it was basically the start for me to embark on this holistic health, holistic healing pathway, I also realized that Western medicine is only focusing on symptom treatment. They're not looking at the root cause. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sit well with me. There has to be something that is causing the issues. And I always believe when there's a problem, there's a solution too. So that made me very curious to dive into that. And I realized, or I came to that discovery years ago, that we have to focus on the mental, emotional, physical, and energetic body. And we have to bring in harmony within those bodies in order to heal. Because when you can drink the healthiest green juices, eat salads, but if you have a toxic self-talk, limiting beliefs, you will not be a healthy person. I'm sorry. The same goes when you have stored emotions in your body, or let's say you're constantly around energy drainers, people that are draining your energy, or an environment that is draining you. it will not have the same effect as if when you have harmony in those areas. The same is in your physical body. When you're stuffed with environmental toxins, heavy metals, parasites, viruses, how should your body heal? So I discovered we have to first detox and release all of those different bodies to create the right environment for healing to occur. And in the second step, we can then restore, rebuild, and manifest once we made space for what doesn't serve us.
Wow, that feels like a good holistic approach to it. So basically, you can't just eat well to be healthy. Your mental state needs to be there, and your belief systems. And it's so interesting. Most people don't talk about their belief systems being the toxic part that's blocking them from things. And I've found that's actually the first place that you need to start to be successful, to heal yourself, whatever, to have a partner or whatever it is that you want. It's almost always your belief system that is blocking you from that thing that you desire. So, okay, I have the wrong belief system, right? I believe I can never find a woman that's fun and beautiful and will go to Burning Man with me, etc. How do I change my belief system?
Okay, then I would ask questions back to challenge your belief system, because our brain works like Google. If you tell yourself, I will never find a woman, that was the belief, your brain will just be the servant and deliver the reasons for why that is true. So I would ask you, why is this belief not true? Tell me reasons for it.
I think this because I found that, well, I've never found someone that I connect super deeply with and find in like all the ways of the emotional body, the intellectual, the sexual, and I found to be extremely good looking. It's always like one or the other. And I haven't found the whole thing. And I don't know, there's something in me maybe that says that God sort of makes it fair for everyone. So if there's a woman that's extremely good looking, maybe she doesn't have there's like things that are missing or something. I don't know.
But can you find now evidence for why this belief is not true? Even a slight evidence for why this is not true?
Yeah, I believe it's definitely possible. Now I believe it's possible. For the long time, it was like, can you have this like healthy, amazing relationship and have this like high attraction? And I was finding evidence that that's not particularly possible.
Mm-hmm. And now you shifted that already, or it's still in you?
It's changed quite a bit, you know. And when writing the connection map, one of the there's a chord called sexuality, and one of the threads in that chord is called polarity. And polarity, for those who don't know, is kind of the magnetism between two different types of energies, a yin and a yang energy. And in talking to all these tantric masters who focus in polarity, etc., I was asking the question of like, when you meet someone, you're just like, oh my God, I want you so bad. And there's like such this physical attraction to them, right? And I was curious, can you have both? One that's a very like, a relationship that is very stable and non-volatile and still have that extreme sort of sexual passion to that. And the research was kind of showing in the polarity is the connections that have extreme polarity, those are the ones that you have that extreme sexual attraction to, but it's like a scale, right? We have extreme polarity and non-polarity on the other side. The more you're towards the non-polarity, the easier it is because the more similar your energies are. So it's easier just like to talk and you're not fighting, and it's very easy because you're very much more in alignment. And in that polarity, you're very different. The yin and the yang energy are very, they're on opposite sides of the spectrum, which creates a lot of unknowing and mystery. But in general, you need higher skills. So the way I would summarize it is, the higher the polarity, the more skills that you need to navigate that high polarity. So my current belief is this: yes, it's possible, but you need much higher skills in communication, in self-awareness, and an understanding of self. So without the skills, it's much more difficult to be in a connection that has extremely high polarity, which means generally high sexuality and attraction. And you're trading a bit of the ease. But with lots of skills, you can manage that. And what a lot of these, I was interviewing Ananda Sarita, who you might know. What she said is, she basically brought Tantra to the West a long time ago, wrote some amazing books on that. Check out her podcast with me. It's beautiful. And what she's saying is that high polarity is the lower it is, the easier it's going to get to navigate and have, but you're losing some of that passion and fire that we talk about. So to answer your question, the belief is still there a bit. And I'm also I'm calling in and have the idea that it can be there as long as there's both parties have done a lot of healing within self, which will reduce the volatility, the communication. I teach a ton of communication. I have a ton of tools I give away for free because I really believe communication helps smooth out that volatility. Yeah, so that's a long way to say I still have it a little bit, but it's making progress.
Can you tell me examples of people that you know that have what you're looking for? Do you have friends to find now proof and evidence that this belief is not true? Any evidence that you can find right now? Any dream couple that you see that have high polarity, good communication, that inspire each other?
And incredibly passionate sex?
Exactly.
No. And this is from my book. I would ask who has a golden relationship, which is the term I use, not for the perfect one, but one that's in the parameters of all the components of the connection map. And so this is what I did for a couple of years, is interview these people. And that led me to believe, and in my book, I even say that that when polarity and sexual attraction's a 10 at the highest of the scale, it may not be the best connection. And the research is showing you actually want your sexual attraction to be around a 6, 7, or 8. Because then you're still having great sex, it's still beautiful, but you're not like, I'm talking about, the attraction where do you know what I'm talking about or no?
No, I know.
Yeah.
But the other question is, because love or emotional safety don't feel like those extreme butterflies.
Yeah.
They feel completely different. At the same time, they can have passionate sex. They can have can have everything. But sometimes when we feel drawn to people that make us to feel like hot and cold, all those different fires, it's usually...
anxious attached.
Exactly, a wounded part of us that gets activated, but it's not necessarily healthy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So this was the curiosity. So I think there's a little bit of a limiting belief there. And I've been in very healthy relationships with incredible sex. And it's usually with people that have done a lot of tantric work or have been working with sexuality and have healed a lot of those parts. That makes it a lot easier, to be honest with you, because then both parties have access to that skill set.
Mm-hmm. So you had experience in the past.
Yes, I've had healthy relationships with fantastic sex, but not the ones that's like the, oh my God, all the time, like that. And I've had people that I've seen where, that I've dated that I've had that like, oh my God, like, but again, like you said, it was usually stemming from trauma bonds, anxious, avoidant attachment styles, unhealthy parts of the connection that was creating that like distance and polarity, that unknowing, that mystery, that like that feeling of like, oh my God, I could lose you, so I just need to, pour everything into it immediately. It makes me think of an oak tree. And oak trees, they give off acorns pretty consistently most of their lives. And right before they die, they just give off thousands and thousands. And it's their way of like having to put all this energy into procreation and passing their genes. And I sort of see it in the same way with trauma bonds. It's like, if I feel like I'm going to lose you, you know, it creates this like unhealthy need for sexuality.
But then the question is, isn't there more healing needed so that you start feeling attracted to people that are making you feel loved and safe? Mm-hmm.
Yes. I feel like I'm in that place. I'm actually dating women. I'm very proud because I've been dating 27-year-olds for the last probably 20 years. So I've passed that point. And sexuality is coming from a very different place now. Mm-hmm. And for me, now my sexuality is, I would identify as a connection, maybe try to make a new word here, a connection, a connectual, or like, I don't know if that's the right word, but like you know how there's like sapiosexuals. I'm like a connectional sexual. I realize that the sexuality needs to be stemming from true connection, heart, intuition, mind, root chakra, genital connection, in order to like be able to go into a sexual space now. So my sexuality has changed quite a bit, and it's very beautiful. Mm-hmm. But yeah, probably is the short answer. Doc, give me the diagnosis. What are you hearing here?
No, I still hear, like, because I see it also in friends around me. Like, I'm in a very healthy relationship, and I used to be in unhealthy relationship patterns too. But I felt attractive to men that were avoidant, for example, that made me feel anxious. But that wasn't because I was at that time, I wasn't loving myself enough. And when I started pouring a lot of love into myself, filling up my own cup, I started attracting different type of people into my life that were also pouring love into me. And nothing else I accepted in my reality. I didn't accept any bad treatment anymore because I was already giving myself so much. I didn't even need a man, but then a man showed up at the time where I least expected it, and now pouring me with so much love.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's something that came up for me recently when I was in it's an ISTA Level 2 workshop, if you know what that is. Mm-hmm. And they did this one exercise, and it was about like the dark and light, masculine, feminine, and we were giving each other transmissions basically. And for those that don't know, is you just sit in front of the person and you give what you think you're supposed to give, ideally from a place of like clear channel, from source, etc. And what came out of that was this older woman just like held me and was like gave me unconditional love, and I was like realized, oh my God, this is what I'm looking for in a partner. This is what I've been looking for in a partner. This is how I want to feel. And my mother did an amazing job of trying to love me, and she was 18 years old, and but she had a lot of fear. And very much, there was also a lot of control. So I never felt the unconditional love from my primary caretaker. And it's not that she didn't want to do that. Her intention was that, but what she was given, I think, was, you know, a lot of anxiety, etc. And so what I had learned was love is conditional. If you do the bad thing I don't want you to do, I'm not going to give you my love. I'm going to withdraw my love. And I realized for that, that's conditional love, right? Instead of being like, I love you, you know, okay, you know what, you messed up and this is not good, let's talk about it. And so was realizing that that's what I was searching for in a partner. And if I'm searching for in a partner, that means I must not have it for myself. And what a slap in the face to say, even admit like, oh my God, I don't have full unconditional love for myself. And then I started looking at that and being like, man, I think this is true because, you know, I'm constantly achieving amazing things in this world and helping a lot of people. But part of that must be rooted in trying to prove something to myself. And maybe someone else can relate to this too. And that was a hard pill to swallow. So then I went and wrote is like priority number 1, figure out how to have unconditional love for myself, you know? And this is, I would say I'm still on, you know what? I just can love all the parts of me. Like, you know, I have a nicotine addiction. What if I just love that instead of being ashamed of it, you know? Or the things that I screw up, what if I just love those parts of me? And is that unconditional love? Or is that like, because I'm constantly holding myself to these high standards and other people too.
It's a brave step, or many steps that you took towards like facing those parts. And like one of the most powerful tools and really nurturing ourselves and creating the self-love that I discovered is inner child healing. Meaning connecting with that inner part of you, especially when a lower state of emotion rises, and asking yourself, like, the little Joey, what does he need in that moment? Does he need appreciation, a hug, validation, any good words? And then give you as the adult self everything that you need right now. And when I started doing this on a consistent basis, because we can catch ourselves, let's say we are doing something to get appreciation for it. We can stop for a second and tune in with ourselves, with that inner part. What do you need right now? And give her, nurture her, that part. And that's how we fill that inner void within us. And that's when we stop needing anything externally, be it the unconditional love that you were looking outside of you. When you start giving it yourself, you will be flowing out of it, and through you flowing out of it, you will attract someone automatically that is on your vibration.
Yeah. And then recognizing that I'm also good on my own. I have a great time on my own. I'm surrounded with everything that I need. And it would be amazing to share that with someone, and I'm also okay not. So it's like, it's so funny that you mention, and people talk about this a lot, you don't find the right partner that you desire until you're complete within yourself. And I really believe that connection is multiplicital instead of additive. So in other words, if you say, if I'm coming as half complete and you are half complete, many people are looking to become complete with their partner, right? But instead of 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1, 0.5, it's actually multiplicital. 0.5 times 0.5 is 0.25. So we actually it becomes less than actually more. So, and it doesn't mean you need to be fully complete, fully healed until you can have an amazing relationship or partner. It just means as we're looking to complete ourselves with someone else, it actually just creates the opposite effect, you know. This is how I see it.
Mm-hmm. I think generally having expectations from our external reality creates suffering, because only you know how to give yourself the love that you desire. And when you give that little Joey inside of you all the love that he needs right now, you will feel really beautiful.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Nathalie. Thank you, Nathalie, for being with us on The Connection. So this is the connection to the inner child. It's the connection to how to heal your brain tumor.
And healing in general.
Connection to healing. And where can we find you online if you want to connect with Nathalie?
Instagram, Nathalie.Czajka with TH.
We'll put the spelling in the show notes for sure, because it's a hard one. And if you want to hit the subscribe button, we have a lot of incredible other podcasts on how to connect to yourself, to communication, to your lovers, to sex, to the universe, to the greater universe and everything that we are inside of. So follow along. I have a lot of other tools on the website. If you want to work with Nathalie, and if someone wants to work with you, what do they look like? Do they have a terminal illness and they come to you?
It's different. Usually people feel stuck in their life, be it that they've tried a lot with their health, they tried the medicinal path, they feel unhappy, frustrated, oftentimes also chronic symptoms or even disease. So those are usually the people that I support in their journey to find their home within themselves again.
Beautiful. If you'd like to work with Nathalie, hit her up on Instagram. Thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you.